Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they spent. Take another look and take some time for hemp. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for hemp. An acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rent. Well, it's time for hemp.
Thank you for taking time for hemp. I'm your host, Casper Leitch. You are listening to the live broadcast of Time for Hemp all around the world on AmericaFreedomRadio.com, and I want to thank you for tuning in and taking time for hemp. It is Tuesday, and on Tuesday we like to do a big salute to all the hardworking people up in Canada. They are diligently trying to end prohibition, and I can certainly tell you in a lot of ways the Globe could take a page out of their book. I mean, they've got great industry up there. They're growing hemp coast to coast in their country. They've got industrial hemp products that are just leading the world in so many remarkable areas, and it's just exciting to see. And then we got the Harper government, who is just like a total turnaround, and we don't know how that happened. So apparently they have their hands full as hemp activists up in Canada. My joint host, Kelly Kriston, might even be able to attest to that, huh, Kelly?
Well, maybe a little. How you doing today, Casper?
I'm doing okay. We're coming up on the Seattle Hemp Fest this weekend. I am a guest speaker at the Seattle Hemp Fest. I'm speaking a couple times on Saturday and a couple of times on Sunday. Quite an honor to be part of their remarkable event, especially since this year we are celebrating in the state of Washington, where Seattle's having their event, the legal utilization. Let me say that again: the legal utilization of recreational herbalization. That's what we're celebrating at the Seattle Hemp Fest this weekend. How you doing, Kelly?
Every day is a great day in my neighborhood, without a doubt. Have you ever been to the Hemp Fest?
Last year was my first year to attend it. I'd been invited on a handful of other occasions, several years in a row. Living in Indiana, it was cost prohibitive to attend. And then my first year here on the coast, they 3 years ago, they invited me to be a speaker. And I had to have a surgery. I had to have tumors removed, so I couldn't attend. So last year was my first year to attend the event, and it was just really absolutely amazing. I mean, it was a huge outdoor event. Over 100,000 people turned out each day, and it was just, I've never seen anything like it.
Huge, huge, huge. Now, do you know if they're expecting a much larger crowd this year due to the situation in that state?
Yes, the whole state, as a matter of fact, has
Yeah.
braced itself for
No
a
doubt. Well, it's
huge
gonna.
influx of people.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. It's going to be great for everybody concerned, and all the other states are going to start to get jealous as all these money and people and tourism and all kinds of things start to flood into their states that are legal. Uh, they're going to see the reduction in cost of prosecuting and putting these people in jail and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's going to be the turnaround. I think in those states is going to be awesome, and it's just going to prove to the rest of the country what they should have been doing all along.
Well, and that's the thing that's going to be a very eye-opening, because, I mean, even now we're starting to hear people say, why is it we haven't been having this plan available all along? Why is it all along, like you said, we've been arresting and charging the taxpayers so much money to incarcerate people? So, yeah, it is becoming more and more of a enlightening event each time there's a hemp industrial hemp or medical marijuana or recreational marijuana event taking place. It's one of the things I love so much about being part of the Treating Yourself Expo up in Canada is that it's an educational process for the community whenever the hempsters, whether it be 10 of us or 110 of us or 10,000 of us gather, we always educate whatever city we're in as to not only why prohibition needs to end, but how wonderful the people involved with the protest are. So one thing I think Canadians like about the marijuana movement is it's a protest movement that's polite. And with that said, speaking of polite Canadians, we have as our joint guest today, he's returning to the big broadcast, Jason Wilcox. Jason, thank you for taking time for hemp.
Hey, Casper, how you doing? How you doing, Kelly?
Every day's a great day. Thanks. How are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent, medicating and educating as always.
Yeah.
So have you been engaged in any polite protest here lately, Jason? I mean, Canadians, I love it. You all get together and then you march down the street to your government and you knock on the door and go, "Excuse me, I was wondering, would it bother you so much if we yelled?"
Uh, yeah, I guess we're a polite country to a point where I guess they can push us back to a point where I think what we're seeing here in Canada now is kind of a real collective. People are starting to see what's going on, and legalization's awesome. I mean, we all, that's what we've all fought for, I know for myself for a decade and a half. So it's something that I think is very good for us. But at the same time, I think we need to be very alert to just little things, especially here in Canada right now, really big things such as civilian gardens, and whether that will be incorporated into the model of legalization. The term legalization is very open-ended without a model or a set of regulations or a platform, if you have it, to really support. And that's kind of a legalization issue here in Canada that I personally would be concerned with, as I believe we will legalize. I believe it's happening around the world, and I personally believe we're next.
Well, we need to have a change in government for sure, because as you know, the Conservative said flat out, no chance on their watch. Are we ready to re-elect some Liberals in the next federal election and see if Justin Trudeau will go ahead and legalize?
Well, let's just say we hope Justin will put onto his platform that he's going to add in civilian gardens. That's something that reasonable limits on civilian gardens. And that might be something that I think people would be a little more in tune to jump behind, rather than a controlled and tax-only platform. But I believe that any progression forward is huge. The fact they're even talking about it now is huge. All of a sudden, Canada, all of a sudden Canada has an actual cannabinoid section on the federal website. Imagine that. There's something called cannabinoids in the Indigenous cannabinoid system. Excuse my Canadian accent, but it's the fact that they're now just talking about this after 12 years of a legal federal program in Canada. That's kind of the difference with us, is we've been at the federal level for 12 years, and the constitutional right to autonomy, to put into our body what we want, as long as we're not hurting anybody else or ourselves, has already been established in 2000 in Parker with John W. Conroy. So what we're kind of going back now, the federal government's looking to remove our regulatory option to cultivate in this country, which is, it was reported today, it was 30,000 plus people with licenses or permits to grow. We prefer to use the term our gardens and to cultivate. But however, they're seeking to remove that because it is just a regulatory option. It wasn't established as a right because there was no charge of cultivation before the courts. At the time of Parker's decision, or the judge would have ruled that gardening would have been sound, and we wouldn't be having to go back to the federal bench and try and basically what we're doing is trying to repeal a law before it gets passed. So when we started this 10 months ago, it was, can we even do this? Can we restrain the federal government before the law gets passed? And when people wonder what's going on in Canada in the medical realm, right now it's medical, yes, but it's still under the Constitution, and that's what we're seeking, is to make sure that medical patients, they aren't all of a sudden hit with a series of barriers such as cost inflation and the loss of their caregiver gardens or their personal gardens. Whereas in some cases, my understanding is they can grow from $2 to $4 a gram, and the government suggests that they should just up and pay $8 a gram.
Yeah, in Uruguay right now, I believe where it's now regulated and taxed, or however the government's doing it there, it's around. It's just, I believe we saw the figures. It was two something per gram, is what they're charging on a retail level in Uruguay for
Yeah,
cannabis.
that's a good price. That's good. And then you see, this is where we come into the question of, I guess for me anyway, I think it's more one of my own personal questions, is that we have, the issue of evolution, genetic research, the personal therapy that comes with running your own garden for medical patients. And I believe that, once we legalize that, anybody should have a right to grow a reasonable number of plants, because in my own opinion, hemp, is no different, or herb is no different than typically any other herb that's grown, whether it be indoor or outdoor. And ironically, of all things, Canada, in their new proposal for this new big federal grow program, is that there's no outdoors, which didn't make sense to me. I mean, huge greenhouses, much cheaper, solar energy, but they're doing everything indoors only. I mean, you can still go solar, but it's just kind of seems a little bit a lot of stringent rules that puts it kind of out of range for a fair and reasonable market when it comes to supply and production. But for the government standardization that they're appearing to seek, I don't know why they're trying to seek something when it just seems confusing to me, because I've read over the impact statements of now 800 plus patients. We have 1,600 on file, and I've filed over half of them, and got a good understanding of people's fear, and it's a fair fear. I mean, the government has told them nothing but they have to shut down their gardens, and hasn't really given them any other options or understanding of exactly what these transitions mean. But the investments and the time and the effort for 12 years, and then to the only justification so far that my understanding is fire and mold, and public safety. And I just don't see that in Colorado and Uruguay and Germany and other countries where you can grow. We just don't see that, and we certainly don't see it in the medical marijuana patient stats. We see it more in prohibitionary gardens, and I believe that if it wasn't for prohibition or prohibitionary policy, we wouldn't be caught up in all this stuff. And once again, more reason to legalize, but I believe legalize under reasonable model and reasonable policy.
Well, obviously, reasonable is always the way to go for certain. I don't know. Do you have any idea on the figures of the percentage of cannabis medical users in Canada that actually grow for themselves or have a DG grow for them?
Well, it was in the paper today, over 30,000. The last Freedom of Information that we knew of was 26,000 plus out of the 30,000 plus licenses. So either way, it's over 26,000 licenses at present are about to be axed as of March 31st, or March 31st or whatever of 2014. However, we will be seeking a federal injunction with the government. We will be serving them notice next month. And I believe that Mr. Conway, the way he explained it to me, was that we give 30 days for them for legal dialogue, whatever that is. I guess it's for the government to have some time to review our position. And in November, Mr. Conway then will serve for a federal injunction, which is the restraining order that will stop the removal of personal licenses as well as the designated grower, because that's the caregiver license. It's a caregiver aspect, and it's something that we believe is also a constitutional issue, and it certainly needs to be reviewed by a judge before just being passed into law. And we hope that the judge agrees with us, and if so, the injunction would mean that everybody's licenses would stay the same. So those that are worried, I mean, it could take 2 years for this constitutional challenge to go through. It's never been done before. So we have no idea how long it's going to take. But an average constitutional challenge could be a year to 2 years, where your license is going to be okay while we go through charter scrutiny for that. You know, should the bench agree, once again, with Mr. Conroy's initial injunction argument, which we should all have an answer by December. So,
Well, I think the numbers speak for themselves. If 26,000 of 30,000 medical cannabis users are growing their own, there must be a reason.
well, that's just it. It's been 12 years, and it's been so hard. You see, there'd be a lot more than 26,000. See, now they're making it. Well, let's get rid of that 30-page application and all these arbitrary barriers to access that patients could not access a doctor, and they put the doctors as the gatekeeper to this to cannabis, which is a herb. It's never killed anybody, but it needs to be governed like a gun here in Canada, and it's just not right. You know, it's backwards, and patients don't deserve this anymore. I mean, I read them. I get the phone calls still. People are just getting noticed now. I just found out I have to shut down my garden. What's this about? I feel so sorry for these people. They had no idea this was coming. I mean, this is how they operate here. This program was almost set up to fail, but now you remove that license, you watch, there'll be 10,000 medical licenses here in Canada once they can't grow. And then they'll legalize because they already have control of the gardens. You know, and if they control the gardens, they control the whole production and distribution aspect. And one point on that would be that they moved cannabis or marijuana, they're spelling, out of its own department in Health Canada and into a new department called Controlled Drugs and Substances and Tobacco Decading. I find it ironic that the tobacco testing, packaging, standardization, and distribution, even production methods, are almost parallel to that of what they're doing for licensed producers here in Canada under the new program. That to me is also another concern. So it's definitely a thickening field here, and you know, going under the Constitution for us, should we win, it's setting a precedence in Canada that it's a right to grow cannabis if you feel it's going to medically help you. And if we legalize, I believe that would extend as an automatic given if there's already charter established law under the Constitution of Canada, you know, that says it's okay to have a personal garden and grow cannabis. If medical patients can grow, I don't see why anybody else can if we're legal, because we're all equal before and under our Constitution here.
Well, one thing that is equal is the time measurements on the hour that we have to celebrate medical marijuana and all the wonders of industrial hemp. We're going to take a break and come back and listen to some music, and then we're going to have some more conversation here at Time for Hemp.
THCF Medical Clinics are the premier physicians clinic in the United States. THCF has offices all across the United States from Hawaii to Michigan. THCF Medical Clinics has helped approximately 150,000 patients obtain their medical marijuana permits to legally possess, grow, and use medical marijuana. If you have chronic pain, multiple sclerosis, or any other neurological degenerative disease, or if you have any gastrointestinal disorders such as GERD, irritable bowel syndrome, or if you have AIDS, cancer, spastic disorders, seizure disorders, or glaucoma, call us at 1-800-723-0188 or visit us online at hemp.org. Again, the number is 1-800-723-0188 and the site is hemp.org. Serious Seeds is your source for quality cannabis and sativa seeds. Serious Seeds are the creators of legendary strains like AK-47, Bubblegum, Chronic, Cali Mist, and White Russian. The AK-47 is probably the most awarded strain on the planet. The high THC content of AK-47 makes it the perfect medical strain for patients seeking quick pain relief. Cali Mist is an almost pure sativa. Female medical cannabis patients have reported that this strain helps relieve menstrual cramps. Serious Seeds just acquired another Dutch high-quality seed bank, Magus Genetics. From now on, Serious Seeds can offer you even more award-winning strains. The fine folks at Serious Seeds strive to breed the best cannabis genetics that they can find, so patients can rely on the effectiveness of their medicine. Go to SeriousSeeds.com to grow your medicine. That site again is SeriousSeeds.com.
Green Glass Clean is a 100% green liquid cleaner that is designed to wash the toughest resin stains from pipes, bongs, and hookahs. Green Glass Clean is safe to use on glass, plastic, ceramic, wood, and about anything you smoke from, so you can enjoy the full flavor of your smoke. Green Glass Clean is easy to use. Just dilute a small amount, then soak, rinse, and dry. Green Glass Clean will gently dissolve any stuck-on crud from your pipe, keeping your smoking gear fresh and clean. Order Green Glass Clean at greenglassclean.com. And for those stubborn, hard-to-reach resin spots that just won't come off, there is the Gak Attack Brush Pack. Gak Attack Brush Pack keeps your smoking gear clean and looking shiny. The tough yet gentle nylon bristles scrub and scrape buildups and residue with ease. Wire-braided handle bends for easy maneuvering without damaging your smoking apparatus. Using the Gak Attack Brush Pack with Green Glass Clean will keep your pipes, bongs, and hookahs clean. Order your Gak Attack Brush Pack by going to gakattack.com.
It's time for hemp prohibition to end. The cannabis legalization movement has long waited to have congressional or Senate hearings to present the failure of drug prohibition, medical benefits of cannabis, and more. Time for Hemp is tired of waiting for the cannabis movement to get such an invitation and has organized this 5 2-hour conference series special. Time for Hemp will be hosting live specials to produce a global cannabis summit with some of the most brilliant minds and amazing leaders of the industrial hemp and medical cannabis movement. This presentation will be broadcasted live on American Freedom Radio, online, AM/FM stations across America, and on Roku, and will be archived at American Freedom Radio and on iTunes. During each commercial-free broadcast, moderators will conduct discussions with 6 expert panelists brought together from all corners of the earth to present the most current research and statistics concerning this trillion-dollar industry. Tune in live starting each Friday this August at 9 to 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. This special presentation is being hosted by Casper Leitch on AmericanFreedomRadio.com.
Waking back in the morning, waking back in the afternoon, waking back in the nighttime, every time is alright, it's alright. 7 a.m. call him on the telephone, said I'm coming over, son, it's time for us to roll, and I'm on the way to school with nothing to do, thought I roll another blunt to smoke it with you, got the windows down with the Cali reggae loud, hit the stop, got the 20 spinning round, roll it tight so it burns real slow, I got the SOB dropping the bassline low, say move. Must be at school, coming, sneaking out the back to smoke with you. It was me and Mary Jane in homeroom class. I caught a smell of sweet aroma as she blew on past. Well, jaw dropping as my lip turns black. If I could stop to pay attention, wouldn't have to come back. I could hit the pool to smoke my days away until the sun drops down and it's time to play. Waking back in the morning, waking back in the afternoon, waking back in the nighttime, every time is alright, it's alright. Waking back in the morning, waking back in the afternoon, waking back in the nighttime, every time is alright, it's alright. They like to lurk and hide. The only way to get safe home tonight is to run and hide. Well, it's midnight. All the creatures of the earth, how they like to lurk and hide. The only way to get safe home time is alright, it's alright. Wake and bake in the morning, wake and bake in the afternoon, wake and bake in the nighttime, every time is alright, it's alright. Wake and bake in the nighttime, every time is alright, it's alright.
Yeah, baby, it is all right. We wake, we bake, and then we get busy trying to end prohibition. I would encourage you to get involved in an organization in your neck of the woods that is focused on ending these horrific prohibition laws. I have said it almost every day since I can remember even speaking. If you're just sitting around the house trying to figure out who's going to make the world a better place, and that's all you're doing between your eating your Twinkies and downing your chocolate milk, I got news for you. You are the problem. You need to get your butt out that door and get active in making the world a better place. So really, here's the deal. If you just don't think the marijuana movement is your cup of tea, if you think that maybe you would rather go out and hug trees or fight for women's rights or make certain that little kids have access to education, I don't care what it is. If you want to go out and save dogs and cats, get up, get out the door, and do something that's going to make the world a better place every day when you open your eyes and start to breathe. With that said, I want to give a big thank you to American Freedom Radio for all their hard work in raising the voice of freedom and the marijuana movement, and of course send our love to Head Shop Canada. Tim Zielinski will be on the broadcast on Thursday for those of you who want to tune in and learn about some gardening tips. Remind you that on Friday, every Friday this month, we are doing 2-hour uninterrupted, no commercial broadcasting. It is a global hemp summit being staged every Friday. And this Friday, we are covering the international treaties. Michael Crowitz is the moderator of the big broadcast. And when all is said and done, all 5 Fridays put together will total 10 hours of presentation, along with an additional hour that came by accident with Todd McCormick. We now use as a keynote presentation, all focused on ending prohibition, all focused on medical marijuana needs, all focused on the remarkable aspects of industrial hemp, all focused on the cost of imprisoning people for touching a plant, all focused on finding solutions to ending the war on drugs. Please tune in. You can find back programs at timeforhemp.com, easily to find in our archives there. Share with your friends. Make it a point to tune in and let your leaders know about these MP3s when they are done. Over 30 great activists from all around the world will let you know why it's so important to take Time for Hemp. On the big broadcast today, my joint host, Kelly Kriston, is an individual that has made it possible for Time for Hemp to be a strong voice in the wind. And I want to thank you, Kelly. And, you know, Kelly, because of you, so many people are heard each week, like our guest today, like our summit on Fridays, like the messages that get out with patients who are sick and are just fed up with being called criminals. And Kelly, not only do you help us here at Time for Hemp, you do a lot of wonderful things for people in the marijuana movement, including making certain that those who need a healthy way to take their medications can do so without it being a burdensome cost.
You betcha. We, again, have run the program for quite some time now, and it's worked really, really well. We've managed to get a lot of 100% free vaporizers out there to medical patients who otherwise couldn't afford one on their own. As you know, there are many, well, thousands of cannabis patients around the world who are on assisted income or disability pension and find it difficult to pay the rent, let alone and buy food, let alone get, of course, quality medication and or certainly afford a quality vaporizer. And for these patients, not only is it healthier for them, it's really a big bonus for them financially because they report using 50 to 70% less cannabis because the machines are so efficient. So from a financial perspective, it's a real blessing for these people. And I know there are literally thousands, if not tens of thousands of them out there in the world. And hopefully some of you are listening. It's really, really simple. All you have to do is send me an email telling a little bit about yourself and your situation and whether you're involved in the cannabis community in any way, Compassion Club, et cetera, and send the email to Kelly, Kelly, at kdkwholesale.ca. And if you can, include a picture. I know some of you out there, you can certainly request that we use another picture or something else if you're afraid where you may be because you use cannabis. And we can change your name, all that kind of stuff. We certainly like to hear from you. I know that all of us here at KDK really enjoy sending them out and the comments we get back from these medical patients around the world. And yes, that is available to anybody around the world. We do have vaporizers that come with Euro plugs or Aussie plugs or whatever the case may be. So don't be shy. Send us an email if you yourself are in this situation, or certainly if you know somebody else, please make them aware so we can try to get them a free vaporizer.
And I want to thank you on behalf of the marijuana movement again, Kelly. That is so sweet. I want to let people know too that yes, it is good to send a little bio and a photograph. When I was lucky enough to have been given a remarkable vaporizer, they rock. They're beautiful. They give you a lovely vape. They also have a nice ability to make your substance taste delicious. And the team there at KDK are remarkable. And as I said, please send in your bio and your photo. When I sent in my bio and my photo, the KDK staff called and suggested that we send in a photo of a living person. So we but nonetheless, they took my photo and they did publish it. But Kelly, I want to thank you on behalf of the marijuana movement. You do a lot of wonderful things that people who are as good as you should never ever be overlooked at any point in time. And that's one of the problems with people like you who do so many good things. You do it so quietly that oftentimes people don't get a chance to say, thank you, we love you, and on behalf of the marijuana movement, we send hugs and good karma in your direction. Now, I'll let you and Jason pick up where you left off. I do think it's remarkable up there, the warm and fuzzy government that you guys dance in the light of.
I would also like to myself, a shout out really across the country to all of the National Steering Committee reps that we have that have come up. We have representatives out of Saskatchewan and in Alberta and Ontario. It's really the people who have come on board and the volunteers and supporters, including Marco Randa for Treating Yourself, running an ad and an article for us recently. And, just a tremendous amount of support coming together, which has taken a lot of time to build. And it's really been a collective. I mean, I said this from the beginning, no one person or province or even attorney make this matter. It's a national battle. And it's really about, right now, it's about medical patients' gardens in the future for this country. And I believe that it sets a precedence for the future if we legalize. I don't know how you feel about that, Kelly.
Well, I'm horribly for legalization for many reasons. The cost to us as taxpayers, trying to um, uh, confiscate and prosecute and incarcerate all these people which I consider to be an insane thing in today's day and age. The cost savings is going to be huge. Um, so many people's lives have been ruined and opportunities missed because they smoked a little cannabis maybe when they were young or went to college. Um, the death toll of Mexicans trying to get drugs into North America or the rest of North America, trying to eliminate all this crap and corruption that goes on around the world, taking the profits away from organized crime and criminals and putting it in the hands of government where, well, we don't know if they're going to do any good with it either, but we can assume that they're going to do a little bit more good than the guys on the other side. How it's going to affect the medical patient, I'm not sure. Obviously, if it's legal, depending on where they take and how far they take legalization, is it going to be, alcohol right now is semi legal to make your own because you're allowed to brew your own beer or wine. But if you set up a still and start to make some whiskey, they're going to come down on you. Now, how they're going to split it up, set it up, where they're going to move forward, how they're going to do it, obviously is questions that are, won't even come into play until we have a government willing to actually legalize this. So there's the 1,001 questions to be asked and answered, and ways to look at it, how they're going to do it. If they do legalize, are they going to allow people to produce their own, or are they going to do it like alcohol was at one time, completely produced, governed, and regulated by the government agencies? There's just so much on the plate. Who knows where it's going to go? Who knows what's thinking? And once they open up the vault to legalization, there are going to be a lot of people want to get on the bandwagon and not only use it and use it freely then, but also maybe try to produce it, or I don't know, set up a vapor lounge or all these other offshoot businesses that are going to come with legalization. I don't know. Do you notice much happening down there, Casper? Are you in tune as to what has happened since legalization hit, as far as businesses sprouting up, or some of the financial rewards associated?
Well, they are and they aren't. I mean, it's kind of a weird thing. It's because they know that on a state level it's all good. But on a federal level, they could be walking into a horrific situation, and they still also on a federal level, on a national level, have banking industries that will not open bank accounts for these companies. And an example would be this one individual here in the state of Washington, who, when it became legal for recreational purposes, he's a multi-billionaire from Microsoft. His family is all about hemp. Grew it for years. He jumped up and down and screamed they were going to come out with like 4 or 5 really groovy types of smokable cigarettes, make it. And the next thing you know, the federal government's screaming and they're coming in, and then he's disappeared, and he's not giving press conferences, and he's not talking. We'll talk more about that when we come back here at Time for Hemp.
It's time for hemp prohibition to end. The cannabis legalization movement has long waited to have congressional or Senate hearings to present the failure of drug prohibition, medical benefits of cannabis, and more. Time for Hemp is tired of waiting for the cannabis movement to get such an invitation and has organized this 5 2-hour conference series special. Time for Hemp will be hosting live specials to produce a global cannabis summit with some of the most brilliant minds and amazing leaders of the industrial hemp and medical cannabis movement. This presentation will be broadcasted live on American Freedom Radio, online, AM/FM stations across America, and on Roku, and will be archived at American Freedom Radio and on iTunes. During each commercial-free broadcast, moderators will conduct discussions with 6 expert panelists brought together from all corners of the earth to present the most current research and statistics concerning this trillion-dollar industry. Tune in live starting each Friday this August at 9 to 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. This special presentation is being hosted by Casper Leitch on AmericanFreedomRadio.com.
Serious Seeds is your source for quality cannabis and sativa seeds. Serious Seeds are the creators of legendary strains like AK-47, Bubblegum, Chronic, Cali Mist, and White Russian. The AK-47 is probably the most awarded strain on the planet. The high THC content of AK-47 makes it the perfect medical strain for patients seeking quick pain relief. Cali Mist is an almost pure sativa. Female medical cannabis patients have reported that this strain helps relieve menstrual cramps. Serious Seeds just acquired another Dutch high-quality seed bank, Magus Genetics. From now on, Serious Seeds can offer you even more award-winning strains. The fine folks at Serious Seeds strive to breed the best cannabis genetics that they can find, so patients can rely on the effectiveness of their medicine. Go to SeriousSeeds.com to grow your medicine. That site again is SeriousSeeds.com.
Green Glass Clean is a 100% green liquid cleaner that is designed to wash the toughest resin stains from pipes, bongs, and hookahs. Green Glass Clean is safe to use on glass, plastic, ceramic, wood, and about anything you smoke from, so you can enjoy the full flavor of your smoke. Green Glass Clean is easy to use. Just dilute a small amount, then soak, rinse, and dry. Green Glass Clean will gently dissolve any stuck-on crud from your pipe, keeping your smoking gear fresh and clean. Order Green Glass Clean at greenglassclean.com. And for those stubborn, hard-to-reach resin spots that just won't come off, there is the Gak Attack Brush Pack. Gak Attack Brush Pack keeps your smoking gear clean and looking shiny. The tough yet gentle nylon bristles scrub and scrape buildups and residue with ease. Wire-braided handle bends for easy maneuvering without damaging your smoking apparatus. Using the Gak Attack Brush Pack with Green Glass Clean will keep your pipes, bongs, and hookahs clean. Order your Gak Attack Brush Pack by going to gakattack.com.
THCF Medical Clinics are the premier physicians clinic in the United States. THCF has offices all across the United States from Hawaii to Michigan. THCF Medical Clinics has helped approximately 150,000 patients obtain their medical marijuana permits to legally possess, grow, and use medical marijuana. If you have chronic pain, multiple sclerosis, or any other neurological degenerative disease, or if you have any gastrointestinal disorders such as GERD, irritable bowel syndrome, or if you have AIDS, cancer, spastic disorders, seizure disorders, or glaucoma, call us at 1-800-723-0188 or visit us online at hemp.org. Again, the number is 1-800-723-0188 and the site is hemp.org.
Looked up in the sky. I'm a believer, I can see the
a sniffer dog searched him with a comb. Dad rolled out the window, he looked up in the sky. He's a believer, he can see that pigs can fly. My daddy's busted, my daddy's brought down by the law. My daddy's busted, my daddy's busted now for sure. Mama's keeping score back in the house. She keeps 2, 3, 4. Said, girl, don't you hold your breath, try to understand. The cops have taken photographs, shot them from the sky. You're a believer, you can see the pigs do fly. Your daddy's busted, your daddy's busted by the police. Your daddy's busted, your daddy's down upon his knees. Well, Mama counts her blessings in the house. She counts 1, 2, 3. My daddy's busted. My daddy's busted by the law. My daddy's busted. My daddy's busted now for sure. Well, Mama's getting lessons on guitar from the man next door.
Good green reefer, big fat don't be much sweeter. Mighty don't hide it. Mighty don't hide it. Well, mighty don't hide it. Mighty don't hide it. Well, mighty don't hide it. Fire up right now.
Yeah, baby, fire up right now. Be loud, be proud. Come out of the closet. Let everybody know that you do utilize this remarkable plant, this amazing gift from nature. This thing called ganja. Now, speaking of what we're going to call this, before we get back to our little conversation, I got a little bone to pick with the entire marijuana movement. Screw you all who have to play the semantic game. Seriously. I've had my belly full of people who say, we don't call it marijuana, brother. We call it industrial hemp. Nice. You call it that. Or, we don't call it industrial hemp, brother. We call it medical marijuana. Groovy. You call it that. I don't care what you call it. You can call it cannabis sativa. You can call it skunk bud. Here's what all of you have to call it. Illegal. You all have to give it the name outlaw. I don't care what you call it. It's called illegal. It's called outlaw. And until you quit playing semantics and start pulling yourself together as a group and working in unison to accomplish the goal of ending prohibition, well, you know, you're just stirring the pot for no reason at all. You need to pack your bags, get down the road, and have that conversation with somebody who really gives a shit. Got it? Here's what we're focused on. Ending prohibition. Once that's happened, we can all get to our own little corners and play semantics, and you can call it industrial hemp, and you can call it medical marijuana, and that's when we can all call it legal. But until then, it's only got one name. Outlawed. Got it? Get involved. Bring an end to this prohibition. Now, we were talking about businesses that are involved in illegal marijuana businesses. And Kelly, as I was starting to say, before we were so rudely interrupted by having to pay our bills here with the commercial breaks, gosh, Father Time sucks. The deal is, when they're trying to get things going there in Colorado, they get businesses going, and some banks open up and hire some people and start paying their taxes, and maybe even go 2 or 3 years and things start looking like they're going to make a profit. And at that point, the federal boys come marching in and start saying, well, you know, according to the federal laws, to the federal government. And then they bring in Mr. IRS because That's the only way they can play that game anymore. And the IRS says, well, we know we told you can deduct this and deduct that, but we lied to you. And because of what you're dealing with is an illegal substance, you can't take any deductions. So there are a lot of people who not only have started businesses that are kind of antsy, but there's a lot of people who would like to start businesses but are afraid to, because they're afraid that what the money they put up today will just go down the toilet in 2 years when the DEA comes marching in.
In my opinion, that's by design. I mean, I think the federal governments, both in the U.S. and Canada, by design, want that. I mean, there's been amendments here in Canada to some certain treaties, and of course the FDA and other things that, of course, are for the medical program. But some of the shifting of departments and controlled drugs and substances and tobacco declinate would imply that that's a platform being laid. And of course, it takes a lot of time to reconvince the public and reverse 70 years of reefer madness and convince them that, hey, we lied to you for 70 years, but trust us now and buy only from us now, and solely our genetics. That's the only thing I'm concerned about. I mean, everything else is exactly what we've all fought for. But I think that Uruguay is one of the only countries that actually got it in a fair and reasonable market for a plant that's never killed anybody. And I think Sanjay hit it on the head in his interview, at least at the point around safety, whether it's gardening or using the plant. It's not worthy to be governed like a gun, not in the U.S., not in Canada, and certainly nobody. I mean, we want Mark back. We want Mark back home. There's a lot of stuff going on around. We all know somebody who's gone to jail over this. It don't matter. Like, you're right, whether it's medical, I was laughing. Well, you're medical, it don't matter. I mean, we all like our cannabis, and it is what it is to us, and it should be legal. In Canada right now, medical patients have been federally legal for 12 years. We are legal. It is something that 35,000 people can say in this country, but the problem is that we're legal, and they're about to take away our regulatory option to cultivate our plants. And I believe that that's a prelim, because if they legalize, then they've already got control of the production and distribution market. My bigger fear is also for some of our clubs and dispensaries. Some of the businesses you're talking about are the very ones, I believe, just like in Washington, certain ones will be shut down, like in Colorado, and other ones will come up. And on the Colorado stats, I would also note that the crimes went down, that there's no fire, there's no mold. All the things that they're suggesting goes on here in Canada because of cannabis. Well, when you legalize it, look, the crimes go down, there's no fire, there's no mold. And we don't have it in medical stats either. So I'm interested to see what the Crown has to say to Mr. Conroy's arguments in that regard. But again, I'm not an attorney to speak on official legal references. So, it's certainly something that I find interesting when we just look at that from a logic meets reason standpoint. I mean, we know we're going to legalize. It's a matter of when and under what government. But the question is, moreover, is the model and regulatory reform that's going to happen with that. And that's always going to be a debate. But I think civilian gardens is a constitutional right that needs to be established. At least here in Canada, it can be. And that's something that the Coalition Against Repeal, and you can find us at, you can just Google MMAR Coalition, or it's coalitionagainstrepeal.com. And you can get our website and, of course, any link up to us that way, either as a volunteer if you live in Canada here, sign up and register. You can be a family member, a friend, anybody who's suffered. You don't want to see a loved one back on Oxycontin, gobsmacked on morphine, because they don't know a dealer. They can't get something, and they can't afford the federal supply because they don't got credit. They can't afford, $8.80 a gram plus shipping plus tax, put that on a medical patient. By the federal government's own cost benefit analysis, they say 30% of patients will not be able to afford, the medical cannabis that the federal government is going to supply. If that's not a barrier to access, I don't know what is. And in 2000, anything that flies, that presents a barrier to access one's medicine flies in opposition to the Constitution of Canada. And that was established. It's charter established law. And this is where I think the battle lines are really drawn here in Canada. And I think that the medical patients have had enough of the old MMAR. We're sick of that system. We're sick of the system altogether. We don't believe there should be one. This is a harmless plant. And we ourselves have been caught in the crossfire of prohibition, shutting our rooms down, getting kicked out of houses, losing our kids, fighting for our kids, whatever the case may be. We've had to go through it, go to jail, locked up, families broken up. Even though we have a federal license, cops don't respect it. They rip it down. We've had to sue them, take them to court, fight them, head on. Myself, I've had to sue the police with John Conroy. It's been a mess here for medical patients. And I think they're just so fed up that now it's come to a point where the nation is rising up and saying, you know what, enough is enough. And it's not just about the 35,000. It's about all of our supporters and the people who have made their industries and their businesses in the past 10 years here in Canada really off the legal medical marijuana program, because they were able to come out from behind certain walls and open up their doors to better business, such as vapor lounges and that. They wouldn't exist if it wasn't for medical marijuana here in Canada. If it wasn't for the legalization of it, where we need to go to Medicaid, those facilities wouldn't exist. They would shut them down relatively fast. There's certain ones that, of course, hide behind political party establishment, and they're, of course, going to be safe. But it's very minute if the government takes control of the entire system and decides exactly who opens what. And sure, there's going to be head shops and sub businesses as any industry, but I don't believe that cannabis again needs to be governed like a gun. I don't even think it needs to be governed. I think it needs to be in the hands of herbalists. And nothing more if it's going to be governed at all. It needs to be taxed and controlled, but taxed and controlled in a reasonable market, and not controlled in the sense where the government needs to keep the plants solely in the hands of, in this case, maybe 51 projected licenses that the federal government's projected they're only going to give to supply the country, to supply all the medical patients.
Well, back on the note of affordability for cannabis and the cannabis patient, since we do have a federal program and it is legal for these people to consume cannabis, how come we don't have these prescriptions being paid for by the government or by workers' compensation, or the same as they do for pharmaceuticals for our population?
We fought this for over a decade now. Myself and many members of our national committee, Allison back in Ontario, we've been fighting this for a decade around why we should be paying tax, why we should have to pay PPS if we wanted to order. We believe in having patient option. There needs to be a federal supply. There needs to be the option to be able to go down to your cannabis club if that guy's got the proper permits and stuff in place. And if you're growing at home and you passed all your reasonable permit levels, then that's something that we believe would be a fair and reasonable market. But the fact that they want to charge patients not only $8.80 a gram, that wouldn't be so bad if it was flatlined. But then you got to go no tax, shipping and you have to add tax plus shipping and handling. But then you can only order 150 grams at one given time. So if you have a prescription of 25 grams a day, you're ordering 4 times a month. So you're paying shipping and handling for 4 times. It's really absolutely benign and ridiculous and backwards what the MMPR has proposed. It's unconstitutional. And the BC Civil Liberties Union has come out and said it's unconstitutional and wide open, not only the charter challenge, but it's a civil rights violation.
I need to jump up in here because I think it's unconstitutional that time does not stand still, but I haven't been able to change that. So until I can figure it out, we need to stop now and give a shout out to our URLs. We'll start with Jason.
coalitionagainstrepeal.com.
And Kelly, I want to thank you again for being on the big broadcast today. We'll have you next Tuesday. And remember, the next time you hear me, you'll know that it's time for hemp.
Some time for hemp. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yes, it's time for hemp. Whoa, an acre of hemp makes 20 bales of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, got no clothes.